Hello everyone, I am Paul Feldman from Insurance Newsnet, and today I'm joined with Chris Conroy from IAMS. Chris, you've been in the business a while. Tell me a little bit about your background in the industry.
Yeah, great question. I got in this business kind of happenstance. I had a connection with somebody back in the late 90s and found my way into law department. Actually, coming out of law school, I got a chance to do a lot for an insurance company and learned a lot about the business, kind of soup to nuts, all the way from, policy service and contracting and how you fix problems, and put my lawyer hat on some, we're defending class actions and fighting regulators and all that, fighting the 151A law. Then found myself getting in more of an entrepreneurial kind of distribution role about 10 years into my career, and really enjoyed that. So I kind of like building businesses and getting to work with agents, get my hands dirty a bit. So I like that, and I got a chance to work at some really great distribution firms and back at a carrier as well, and real pleased to be with IAMS. IAMS is a great company I've known for 25 years. It's got
Steve's a good guy.
Yeah, Steve Murray, Charles Hiring, founder, 37 years history, and just, salt of the earth type of people. Great
Absolutely.
Midwestern values, and that really hasn't changed.
Yeah. So do you see a lot with distribution? You're involved with NAFA. We're at the NAFA conference right now in DC. What kind of trends are you seeing in distribution right now?
Yeah, good question on trends. So, I think there's a lot of customers yearning for these kind of solutions that are offered through annuities. Whether it's, something simple right now, interest rates are up, so multi-year guarantees are kind of popular in vogue across the industry. They're up over 100%, something like that. Indexed annuities continue to see a nice increase. But there's other products too. The variable annuities, RILAs, continue to be real exciting products and growth. So we're part of all that. So I think there's just interest at the consumer level, looking for safe money returns with good interest rates, and still kind of feel the bite of last year's market volatility. The S&P 500 was down 20%. Bonds were down. The aggregate bond index, I think it was negative 12. So a lot of people were looking for good solutions.
Yeah, and everybody's 401ks became a 201k.
They did, yeah. The days of 201s. Maybe we're back a little bit, but that's, I think, a lot of what particularly fixed and fixed index annuities can do is take out some of those rocky ups and downs and try to get off the roller coaster and find something with a little more predictability. Yeah.
So what are you seeing as far as advisors doing today to be successful?
Yeah, I suppose there's a number of things. We work with a lot of people who are looking for ways to get in front of more people. So we have a lot of new, call it prospecting tools, whether it's a new seminar program, a new 403B lead program, a number of the coaching programs we're doing. We find a lot of people gravitating towards getting in front of more people. The second thing I would say is they want to get better. They want to get better through coaching programs, learning from the best, the whole steel sharpens steel. Yeah. So we've had a rich history of doing about 20 years of training academies. And so we're always looking to reboot those, make them better, bring in the best we can, whether it's technology, leads, top agents, top carriers or sponsors of these. So we're excited. I think everybody wants to kind of up their game. They feel like they got a great opportunity here in the marketplace. And if they can capture it through getting in front of more people and be more effective in helping clients find their solutions. So that things like our training academies, this year we're pleased to have 6 live training academies, a couple life-focused one, and we just had one in Omaha with a couple 3 days in partnership with American Life and SILAC, but we do those with our other carriers as well. So that's, it's exciting to get in front of people. A lot of agents are looking to get back in front of their good partners, whether it's a carrier or distribution firm, get to know them, and for the ones that we haven't seen for a while, is kind of renew that relationship.
Tell me a little bit more about how are seminars working today?
Yeah, there's a lot of people. I think seminars have been popular for 10 plus years. COVID obviously transitioned that away to more of a virtual platform in most places that we work with agents. I would say there's probably as much renewed interest as we've seen in seminars. We launched our own proprietary seminar program recently and seen very good results, hitting topics like taxes and retirement or Social Security planning, estate planning, how all these parts fit together, holistic planning. So those can be effective. There are some areas where customers, out on the coast, for example, where it might be a little harder to get people to want to come in. But we're seeing a lot of positive reception, yes, from seminars.
And so when COVID happened, there was a huge transition to virtual selling.
Yes. Yeah.
How did agents overcome that?
Well, I think some of them candidly kind of hunkered down, and they did what they had to do to survive. Most agents being in commission based, needed to continue to get in front of customers, so they went to their existing deck of business. A lot of people looking for solutions, and they kind of worked their deck of business, their book of business. I think they kind of capitalized on some referrals. We were able to help a number of them pivot to purely virtual selling. So whether it's virtual prospecting or virtual sales, and that really accelerated, I think, this trend towards meeting the customer how they want to be met with the right communication. So it's not uncommon nowadays, even those people who went to a virtual platform, to engage on a hybrid basis, meaning they might meet the customer through a lead program that's virtual, and then ultimately they might even have that first engagement through some kind of virtual platform, Zoom, whatnot, and then ultimately close a sale or continue that relationship in person. Just trying to, again, meeting that client how and where and when they want to be met is critical for success. Yeah.
Yeah, I have one of my advisor friends. He doesn't go see clients anymore.
Yeah.
At all. He just only does it
right
through video. He's saving so much time. He can see more people.
Sure.
It's quite efficient.
It certainly can be. There's, some of the old methods, think of traditional marketing, how you find people, are still very important. We do a lot, I know, helping hundreds of agents, advisors, improve things like their social media presence, their drip marketing, things that, a lot of the advisors, agents, they don't know where to start. So they're looking for partners, people like us that can help them. And we have ways to do that. And as they do more business, we can help subsidize some of those costs. I'd say one other thing, just while we're talking here, that continues to be, in the 26 years I've been in this business, probably seen the most amount of change is innovation. So innovation, let's talk about at the carrier level. So we've seen a lot of new entrants to the space, in the last year or two. You think of like the companies like Aspida or Abexis, or some of the new migrant companies like CL Life or Farmers Life. I mean, these are companies that literally didn't exist a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, and they're now very, very ultra competitive. So I think that's good for the industry, provides some more competition, better offerings for the producer, ultimately more and maybe more competitive offerings for the client. And we're all in the business of trying to serve their best interests. We want to get the right product in the hands of the client. So I think more money, more interest from traditional companies and the alternative asset manager, private equity side of the business is good. It's provided a lot more competition, at point of sale for the client to get better solutions. And then there's been some trend towards, I'm sure you've talked to other people who talk about how there's been a trend towards kind of more complex products and more options and bells and whistles. And that, I think, can be a good thing as long as the advisor agent understands what they're providing advice to the client. We have seen a couple more interesting simple product designs, including one literally launching today that I can think of as the American Life and Securities Fusion MyGIA, MyGIA, which is something we've never seen before. It's really a
MyGIA.
A MyGIA. I don't know if that's a French word, maybe, but it's MyGIA, a multi-year guaranteed indexed annuity. So, they just came out with a design, literally launching today. That's a hybrid of a great guaranteed rate with the ability to get a performance threshold kicker. So get some of the S&P 500 growth plus worst case scenario 4% compound rate of return. So that's a lot of short-term chassis, 5 years, where it's really just a binary outcome. You either get 4 or you get 6.76 compound, and commission pays 30 to 50% higher than a traditional MYGA for the producer. So that type of product, I think, is something interesting to the market. I think we'll get a lot of eyes and ears. And so that's kind of nice to see something on the more simple end of the continuum. And I think more continued innovation, working with banks and working closely with actuaries and sales and trying to meet what the field ultimately needs is important. and we're pleased to be part of that. We're also pleased now of being the RILA space, so the registered index linked annuities. So partnership with a wholesale broker dealer, we now can offer RILA products, the Athene product and Bright House, a couple notables that are top of the heap, and that's a good fit. It's solving that retirement income plan puzzle for clients is really a combination of solutions, and it's also what's most comfortable for the advisor who's got to go back and work with those clients. Yeah.
So what type of innovations do you see continuing to happen?
Yeah.
What would you if you had a crystal ball? What would you predict would happen in the next few years?
Good question. I think we'll continue to see the banks working closely with the investment banks, working closely on new designs, and a little bit of this is following from, frankly, what Europe's been doing for quite a while. And what we've seen at the big investment houses for years and years is making its way to better solutions with innovation, kind of at the credit engine side. I do think there's some interesting rider type of benefits. For example, the Equitrust Bridge product, which is a true LTC combo annuity product. Those kind of benefits, I think, are very lucrative for many customers where there's a need for long-term care.
It makes a lot of sense because
right?
We all may need it.
We all may need it.
Yeah.
And it's too late usually, or too expensive when you get to that age. So those type of products, I think, are interesting. I know talking to some of the carriers, they're looking to provide those kind of benefits, the what-if benefits. So I think we'll see a more kind of rider designs. There has been a move towards shorter duration type of products. I think we've probably seen some of the highest percentages, people looking at 5-year, 6-year, 7-year type of. Some of that's the yield curve. So we'll see if things change, if things go back to normal. But I think there is maybe a growing interest in shorter term products, on the 5, 6, 7-year kind of duration, as opposed
not those
to
15, 20
10,
year,
20, 50. Not that there aren't times where that's certainly appropriate, particularly if a client's never going to really need to take more than free withdrawals out during that period. But there has been a trend towards certainly 10 or less years over the last couple of years.
So put your compliance hat on.
Yeah.
What is something that advisors should be really worried about when they're writing business?
I think first and foremost is making sure they know what their standard of care compliance needs to be. We work closely. We do over 300 webinars per year. Some of those include some compliance-related materials. We partner closely with the carriers' compliance legal teams to disseminate out that information. So I think of things like the new NEIC 275, the updated suitability model. And not all people understand it, and it's still getting passed around. I think it's in 35 states perhaps, so we'll have more that follow. And so making sure what those additional disclosure requirements are would be number one, is just stay on the top of current, suitability regulations. I think there's growing interest. I literally just came from a meeting downstairs. We were talking in the Government Affairs Committee about some, there's some oddball cases out there. There's one that the SEC's brought against an investment advisor who was selling annuities and, purportedly replacing a lot of them. And the SEC is seeking to come in there, kind of second guess, Monday morning quarterback those exchanges. And, indexed annuity to indexed annuity, which isn't a security.
Yeah.
And whether they can do that. So I think that case got a little bit longer to figure out whether the SEC is going to prevail. But, we're watching that real closely. And then the Department of Labor. So we're here in D.C. We fought this battle in 2010. We fought it in 2016. We won. Surprisingly, coming out of the Trump administration, the DOL Rule 3.0 sailed through, and actually during the Biden administration, they let it go into effect. And so we have an existing DOL Rule 3.0 that we've helped a lot of people, figure out the compliance. So there's those different ways to do that, whether you're complying with Reg BI or you're using what's called a PT 8424 compliance form. There's different ways to jump through that, and we hear that, and I'm only curious to hear what we hear at this conference, which is what's 4.0. I mean, it's kind of amazing we're talking about this 13 years later, but I think the Department of Labor really feels like they want to get in there and go after qualified plans.
They just want to get bigger, I think.
Yeah,
the government just always wants to get bigger.
They do, and there's really been no proof of any egregious abuses or problems in our industry. Largely we're here at the Fixed Annuities Conference talking about fixed products, which again, zero's your hero.
Yeah.
Can't lose principal. So I'm not sure there's a lot of problems to fix here, but nonetheless, we support fair and balanced regulation where it makes sense. I guess our position would be, let's let the suitability regulation run its course and the SEC Reg BI run its course and go from there. But I do think there can be continued pressure towards providing greater consumer protection because it's politically attractive. Whether there's problems to stomp out or not, it's a good kind of soundbite. So we're prepared to respond and be there for our agents. Yep.
One of the problems I see too with agents, that are duly licensed, is how can you be a fiduciary and sell an insurance product?
Right. Yeah.
Because you don't really have control over the insurance product. The insurance company has all the control.
That's a great question. Things like, can you put on a second hat? I mean, literally take off your fiduciary hat, put on your insurance only hat, where you're subject to the state suitability regulations. You can take off your fiduciary hat, the investment advisor's fiduciary hat. That's a little bit of what is being alleged up in Massachusetts with that Cutter case. So we're going to see what that develops into. We work with plenty of advisors who also sell insurance products, i.e. annuities. And that line,
As I think they should. I think they should.
Anyways, it seems like might be their best interest for a lot of clients who are looking for safety and guarantees. You really, as an advisor, should be looking at those solutions. So I would say this, precedent law has supported the idea with appropriate disclosure. You can wear two different hats as long as you're fair, explaining that to your client. We'll watch where that develops. Again, with that Massachusetts case, that could change the state of affairs, at least maybe in some places of the country. So we're closely watching that, and I think that's a tough answer. I mean, today, it seems like if you had a good sale and it's been ratified by that insurance company who has their own suitability department, why should we be second guess that by a regulator maybe 5-10 years later? So I think we got everything we need.
It's crazy. We've done a pretty good job of monitoring our own business, and coming out with the suitabilities. I think carriers are really scared of lawsuits.
Well, they probably are. I mean, insurance companies, IMOs, insurance agents, they don't want regulatory or private litigation problems. None of us do. There was a time when I was defending class actions for companies, and I can tell you the boardrooms, they don't want potential multi-million-dollar type of losses. So you're right about that, and I think at the heart of it, everybody wants to do the right thing by the client. Sometimes you might not know if you are or not. So suitability's come a long way. I was talking to some of my friends here, Kevin Meckley at Salmons, and he and I were working together. I think the first suitability regulation was maybe 2003. So we're 20 years into that. And back then it was pretty rudimentary. It was like a 2-question form. How is this going to help you? You write a subjective answer, you're good to go. And we've come a long ways.
I mean, how many pages is an annuity app nowadays?
Oh, all in, the paperwork, there's app kits that are 60 pages long, with all the disclosures and additional things.
It's like buying a mortgage.
It is almost more complex than a mortgage.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about it, and we're talking about principal protected products here. All that said, I think there are some tools, technology, things like Firelight and other order entry systems that have made it much easier and faster. Maybe the process is pretty slow, from the point when they first talk to the client to when they actually get their policy. A lot of times can be more than 30 days. Money's coming from another, insurance company. So it seems like that process has got to get shorter. We need to get to where banking was 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah, it's easy to refinance your mortgage, refinance your house, buy a house. It's fairly painless. They could send you the PDF and you just click everywhere for your signature.
Sure.
Because nobody reads all the fine print.
Nobody does. Maybe they should. Maybe they should.
Probably should.
Yeah, you all have a responsibility, to understand what you're buying. I do think you're talking about what could be happening in the near future. I would say there will be disruptors. There will be companies coming in and saying, can we win with speed to market, for example? So instead of 30 days to get money and issue a policy, what if we could do it in 1 day or 3 days?
And money moves so fast these days,
I think
or it can move.
that is from an IMO perspective, we're a very high touch, high service type of organization. So we're the ones who's the connection with the insurance companies, do all the back office work for them. So, I will tell you firsthand, the companies that can process business consistently faster and more accurately are winning some market share. They're picking up business, not because they have the best rates, but because they're the easiest to do business with. So I guess there might be a question is like, well, if there's enough of these disruptors who are winning in that space, is the rest of the marketplace going to have to get to that level of service? So we'll see.
Yeah. So is there a question that I didn't ask that I should have asked?
I suppose there's a lot of talk in the IMO world about aggregation and, acquisition of firms. We're proudly independent, being one of the partners myself. I can tell you we have an interest in staying independent. We feel like it's an advantage to be one of those owners who are literally on the phones entrenched with our customers day in and day out. We have skin in the game. We can make decisions quickly, invest when we want to. We can hire people. We can make those decisions real quickly. There has been a continuing trend with a couple of the larger, private firms that are buying these organizations like us up over time. So what does that mean for the industry? Consolidation generally can be a good thing if it creates greater efficiency and for the whole marketplace. I think it's probably putting carriers in a really tough position right now. So if you're a firm that does business with 100 different IMOs and there's 3 or 4 that end up controlling almost everything, feel like they've got a lot of the power.
Yeah.
And they can come in and kind of name their terms. So
I like to call them the super IMOs.
Super IMOs, perhaps, super aggregators. And so, we don't have anything bad to say about that model. It's a logical, business decision to do so. So I think it puts a lot of pressure on those insurance companies because ultimately what they pay IMOs and distribution as a whole goes into the pricing of the product. So you can either give it's a 3-legged stool, the way I always learned it, right?
Yeah.
So you have the insurance companies, you got to take care of them. If you don't have any profit, you don't keep your ratings, you don't keep your solvency, you're out of business. You got to take care of distribution because if you got to pay them something, a livable wage or a wage that help them survive as a business, or else they can't distribute your product. And you got to take care of the policy owner, and you got to offer them great products, and whether they're best rates or unique offerings. So I wonder if, again, that trend towards aggregation is going to put more pressure on insurance companies. Which leg do you put the money in? Because some of the firms might demand a higher total commission, and that's going to put pressure on the other 2 legs.
Yes, I understand.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, I really enjoyed our conversation today.
I did too.
Covered a lot of stuff, and I can't wait to put this out there and share it with our audience.
Yeah, thank you.